Yankees have relaxed a little bit since last night because that was just a gut punch. That was an unbelievable loss, Don. And, the Mets had a couple of them, and they bounced back. But this is too much of the same thing for the Yankees. The 11th blown save for Clay Holmes. And it starts our show with the Pinstripe Report, brought to you by Samwell Institute for Pain Management. And boy, you need pain management today. Now, 11 blown saves. Of those 11 blown saves by Holmes, the Yankees have lost 8 of those games. So let's give them half of the games. Give them 4 more wins. They're 3.5 games in front of the Baltimore Orioles. Now, they're behind the Baltimore Orioles by a game. Tied in the loss column, but I have defended Holmes for a long time because I think that he's been a victim of soft contact a lot. He's not a swing and miss pitcher, but time is short. You got to win games. I don't see how you could rationally continue to send him out there to close games. It doesn't make any sense. I think they've held off on this because they really don't truly have a replacement. And my answer to that is, so what? Find something. Close with Jake Cousins, try Tommy Kahnle, maybe Ian Hamilton comes back. But, Don, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting the results to change. And there's one reason why I have changed my narrative from last night and from past shows, and this is it. Last night was not soft contact.
Nope.
Last night, to me, was a guy, I don't want to use the word fear because that's really pejorative, but he lost his ability to throw strikes, and that had nothing to do with being too strong. He pitched the day before. He looked like he just got too tight out there. I think it's all happening in his mind. He knows the previous night he almost blew it when he came in a non-save situation. And then yesterday, that was epically bad. And he blew it in such a way that it has an effect on a team. It does. Now, there's so much pressure on tonight's game to win a series. Otherwise, going to lose another series to a losing team. I don't think you could close with Clay Holmes anymore.
No, you can't. And I know you don't have the luxury of finding the guy that fits the best to be the closer. It's now an open audition. And maybe something sticks. And I always use the analogy of the San Francisco Giants. They have one of the best closers in Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson doesn't have it anymore. They give Sergio Romo a try, and then Sergio Romo becomes their closer. And then he loses it, and you sign Melanson. That's just the way it goes. It's usually a revolving door. And sometimes during the offseason, you go out and get a closer at the trade deadline, trade for a closer. And I'm sure a lot of Yankee fans are probably screaming at the radio, why didn't Brian Cashman do that? But at this point, now it's just trying to find lightning in a bottle. All right, you try, and maybe someone finds the stomach for it. Because there is something about baseball, because it's every day, Michael. You don't want to all of a sudden become the team that feels like they're going to lose. And I'm sorry, if Clay Holmes is going to come into a game, Michael, I'm sorry, the fans, the players, everyone's going to feel like, oh, God, we've got a chance to lose this game. And that's no way to go into the playoffs. It's not. Whether it's a wild card, whether it's a division winner, you have to have the confidence to feel like we're going to win this game. That's the way the Mets are right now. We're going to win this game. And the Yankees right now, are we going to win this game? There's question marks. Every decision swirling around, are we going to blow this? What's going on here? They've got to find somebody else to try it. And if they can't do it, then find somebody else. It just cannot be Holmes. If they got a save situation tonight, Michael, it'd be lunacy to hand the ball to Holmes.
Well, now they're in a perfect situation because he's pitched 2 days in a row. They never pitch him 3 days in a row. So now, if it's a save situation, you're auditioning somebody. Let Cousins come in. If he gets those 3 outs before he gives up a run, then he gets another try the next time. If it's Tommy Kahnle, same thing. I mean, there are people out there that can throw, and Cousins does have swing and miss ability because of that nasty slider. Now, I do believe there's a different animal from the 8th inning to the 9th. I do, because I think there's a stomach aspect. Can you handle the pressure? Yesterday, in my opinion, Holmes couldn't. Now, I have always been resistant to automatic change because of the length of the baseball season. So, we've had back and forth with fans. Now, they get rid of Holmes. He's terrible. And I would say, well, he did make the All-Star team. So there's something in there. But when you see an inability to handle pressure like you did yesterday, and all you have to do is listen to that bottom of the 9th inning. Go get that 9th inning on YouTube and listen to David Cohn. It was like he saw the car crash coming. And he even said the Yankees should have been out on the mound sooner because when you're bouncing pitches like that, it's not about lack of command. It's about losing it, where you just don't have the ability anymore.
Right.
So you can't rest. If you're the Yankees, you can't say, well, soft contact. That wasn't soft contact. First of all, Wyatt Langford almost hit the ball to Dallas. So it was a terrible, terrible loss. You cannot close with this guy.
And this is where, to me at least, from the information that I have, where the analytics can become a little bit dicey, Michael, because now you're not talking about numbers. Now you're talking about getting in somebody's inside their head and the pressure of the moment affecting them. Like, the numbers may tell a different story. If they wanted to dig deep enough to have him continue to close, I'm sure they'll find numbers to say this is why he's better than anybody else in the bullpen. But don't you throw those numbers out, Michael, once a guy loses his confidence, once he feels like he's defeated? But those are the things that are frustrating about analytics because they don't believe in hot. They don't believe in pressure. They don't believe in clutch. The numbers are the thing. I'm sorry. If a guy goes out on that mound and feels like he's going to lose, Michael, he is going to lose because there is a lot of mentality to the game of baseball and in sports in general. If you take a three-point shot and you don't believe you're going to make it, you're probably going to miss. Even if the mechanics are right, even if you hit the 10 before that, if you don't believe in yourself, it's not going to work. If he takes the mound thinking he's going to lose, Michael, then he's going to lose, no matter what the numbers say.
It's weird, too, because I think there's a certain personality that's perfect for a closer. I don't know if Clay has that. Clay is a really, really nice person. I don't know if he has that animal killer instinct. Now, you could say, well, Mariano is a sweetheart. Mariano's one of the nicest people I know. He is. But when he was on the mound, killer, assassin, assassin. He didn't think anybody was going to hit him. I don't know if Clay has that. And again, I've seen all the blown saves, and a lot of them, his defense betrayed him. Remember, in Baltimore, 2 errors in the 9th inning. That was one of the blown saves. A couple of other bad defense games as well. And then soft contact. None of that happened yesterday. That was a disintegration on the mound. And because it's not a long season anymore, it's a season of about 25 games. And you know, people keep saying, can you imagine Clay Holmes closing an elimination game in the playoffs? No, right now I can't. So I also put it this way. Maybe this is hyperbolic. All of these games are elimination games right now because I feel the Yankees don't have a chance to win a World Series if they have to go in as a wild card. That's an extra layer of getting knocked off. They need to win the American League East. The Orioles have continued to try to hand it to them, and they haven't taken it. So the Orioles are playing the Rockies right now, and they're doing what they're supposed to do against the Rockies. They're slapping them around. So they won before the Yankees even took the field yesterday, and boom, the Yankees had a win. And Carlos Rodon might have had his best start as a Yankee. Lights out. 11 strikeouts. He gave up that one hit. It was a home run to Young, and he went 6 innings, 99 pitches, 11 strikeouts, 2 walks. He was great. He was great. Now, most of the thing about yesterday's game is going to be about Holmes, and I understand it. And I'll say it again and again and again. They cannot use him as their primary closer anymore. Figure it out. Figure it out. And also, the Yankees not getting a closer during the trade deadline looms very large right now. And I said before, well, who's out there? Well, now we know who was out there. Look at the Dodgers' numbers on Michael Kopech. Look at him. Look at those numbers. He is automatic. Automatic. He could have been automatic for you. I don't know what the Yankees' dialogue was with the White Sox. I don't know what they wanted. But they had faith in Holmes. Well, now Holmes has not rewarded that faith. But I'm going to put some of the blame on Aaron Boone yesterday. Here it is. They go to the 8th inning. The Yankees they're up in the game at that point, 4-2. 4-1 in the 8th inning. So you don't make any changes. Your infield is Chisholm, Volpe, Torres, and LeMahieu. Right? The first batter in the 8th inning is Josh Smith, and he hits a soft chopper to first base.
Oh boy.
Now, I'm not even trying to be cute. I guarantee you, if Peter Rosenberg was at first base, he makes the play easily.
I saw the play, Michael. I feel comfortably I can make that play.
Yes, and I'm not trying to be cute or smart aleck. I think that somebody with a modicum of talent makes that play. Now, LeMahieu lost the ball on the lights. Okay, I don't know what that feeling is, and maybe the hop was just so that it got caught in the lights. at Globe Life Field. So the runner gets on an E3. And then they end up scoring 2 runs that inning, make it 4-3, kind of setting up that 9th inning. Now, the reason I'm blaming Boone on this, let's go ahead to the 9th inning, right? So the top of the 9th inning, Alex Verdugo leads off with a ground ball to first, 1 out. Then Aaron Boone sends up Anthony Rizzo to pinch hit for LeMahieu. Anthony Rizzo strikes out. Now, my point is, if Anthony Rizzo was usable as a pinch hitter, then Anthony Rizzo is so much of a better first baseman than DJ LeMahieu. Why wasn't he at first base in the bottom of the 8th inning? Because you're going to pinch hit for LeMahieu anyway. Now, I didn't ask Aaron Boone this. I didn't get to the clubhouse after the game because I'm on the Yes broadcast. He's going to say, we didn't want to use Rizzo, and if we were up 4-1, we would not have pinch hit. But you can't operate like that. If he's usable, then it's incumbent upon you as a manager to tighten up your defense. So he was obviously usable because he used him as a pinch hitter. So if you're going to use him as a pinch hitter, the very next half inning, you could have eliminated those 2 runs that the Rangers scored in the bottom of the 8th inning if you had replaced him at first base. It doesn't make sense. That is really, really a boneheaded move or non-move. I don't get it. If he never like yesterday, if you watched the whole game, the Rangers never took Corey Seager off the bench, ever. So it was clear either A, something's wrong with him, or B, they are dedicated not to use Corey Seager in the game. It was going to be a complete day off. And they proved that because in the 9th inning, they pinch hit Jankowski instead of Seager against Holmes. They pinch hit Jankowski, a 205 hitter, rather than last year's World Series MVP. So, Don, they weren't using Seager. But the Yankees still used Rizzo to pinch hit for LeMahieu, and they did not use Rizzo to play first base in the other half inning. It doesn't make sense.
No, if you're not going to use them, then don't use them. And also, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to use him anyway. Okay, because of the left-hander to start the game. But, Michael, didn't he have off, what was it, Saturday when they went to the Open? I know he was playing down in Somerset,
no, that was
but
Thursday.
He's up here.
Yeah, no, he played 2 games in a row.
Right, so what?
Right, I agree.
You know, all right, so you don't want to start him against the lefty, but like you said, if he's available, then have him be there for defense. Or, like you said with Seager, if he's not available, then he's not going to play at all. But he was able to pinch hit. So even if his answer was, well, we didn't want to use him, why wouldn't you want to use him? I mean, he had pretty much the entire game off. You ended up using him anyway in a desperate situation. Every game is important. Every ground ball is important. You usually make replacements defensively late in games when it gets a little closer, when you want to close out games, right?
Listen, I'm not unreasonable when it comes to Boone. When he makes mistakes, last week he made one as well. This is a mistake yesterday. And I think that by them scoring the 2 runs in the 8th inning, it sets up the meltdown by Holmes. If Holmes is on the mound and has 3 runs to work with, maybe he's not feeling the pressure, and maybe he doesn't melt down the way he did. Right. But now, maybe they needed that kick in the teeth. Because now they've been awakened to the fact you can't win the pennant with Clay Holmes closing games the way he's pitching. You just can't.
Right. And on top of that, Michael, if they lose today, that's 3 straight series losses against bad teams. Yep. Can't lose 2 out of 3 to the Nationals. All right, the Cardinals aren't a bad team, but they were under 500 at the start of that series over the weekend. And then if you lose tonight, what are the Rangers 7-8 games under 500? I mean, you got to be taking care of business against these types of teams.
No, it's awful.
And then, and also very quietly, Judge, he hasn't been bad, but no home runs now in 8 straight games.
Same thing with Soto.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things going on here that I think are a little concerning. And if the Orioles are going to take care of business against the White Sox, I don't know if the White Sox are going to win another game. I mean, the way that
the White Sox are, they're not even a professional baseball.
They lost 13-3 and 9-0. They're running into each other in the outfield. They just want to get the season over with. So I wouldn't really count on the White Sox giving you any help today. So this is a huge, for September 4th, Michael, this is a colossally big game tonight. You don't want to lose another series and another game to Baltimore in the standings.
And it's not a gimme either. It's not. I mean, Nathan Eovaldi's pitching for the Rangers. He's got an under 4 ERA. Yankees have Marcus Stroman on the mound, who's pitched very, very well of late. So you got to see. And now the big question is, who's going to close? There are several options. You could go with whatever lane it is, the way you would match up in the 7th or the 8th. That does call into question exactly who has the stomach to get those final 3 outs. Different 3 outs than the ones in the 7th. They just are. I've talked to players about it. They just are. Some guys can handle the heat. Some guys can't. All right, so maybe you go with the lane factor. Maybe, because you have now 6 starters once Clark Schmidt comes back this weekend, maybe you go with Louis Seal. You don't know how Louis Seal's going to handle it, but Louis Seal does have swing and miss stuff. He doesn't have great command. That gets you nervous in the 9th inning.
Right.
Tommy Kahnle, he's going to throw his changeup. I think he's got the demeanor for it. I think Jake Cousins has filthy, filthy stuff. Would he have the demeanor for it? Not quite sure. Maybe Ian Hamilton comes back, and he's the guy. He definitely is a guy who has the demeanor to close. Will he be able to do it after being out for essentially 3 months? The Yankees are in a tough spot. You've got to close games because even when you put together an expansion team, they usually try to get a closer because every time you have a chance to win a game, you've got to get that chance and take it and run with it and get the W. Now, when you're in a pennant race and you lose a game like last night, that is a kick in the teeth game. You can come back from it. The Mets did. They had 2 of those games on that swing, and they still came back, and they ended up going, 6-3 on the road trip. And then they've come back, and they won the first 2 against the Red Sox. So you can come back from those losses. But boy, oh boy, there have been too many of them in 2024 for the Yankees. You look up, they're in second place in the East, and you know the reason why. I mean, there are other reasons. The offense is not as deep as it was throughout the whole season. Now they're getting healthy again. But you can't have your closer blow 11 saves and have the team lose 8 of those games. Those are kick-in-the-teeth losses.
No, you got to close out the games you're winning, especially the games you're winning by multiple runs. You can't lose a game like you did last night against I know they're the defending World Series champions, but they're not a great team this year. You got them on the ropes, and you let them off the hook. You just can't. You got to try to win series. Nobody's asking you to win every game you play. But you got to win series, and now they've lost 2 series in a row against not great teams, and now if you lose tonight, like I said, 3 in a row, you just can't do that. You just can't. So this is a huge game tonight. A lot of things have to come together, but I don't know. He said Heel, 66 walks, 144 strikeouts. You like the strikeouts, but you don't like the walks.
No, you hate the walks. That's why I think, Don, they have not made the move to this point because they don't have that guy.
But I don't think they have the luxury.
No, they don't. That's why today I'm calling for it to end. It can't be him. You've got to find something else.
Because you might have been able to make the argument that he was still their best option. I think that's off the table. Now you've got to have an open audition, which is a tough time in September, and a tough time in a game, late in the game, to have open audition. So they must have a mental note of who can do it best. But right now, hopefully you find it, and that guy can do it. I mean, but you can't worry about, like, stomach and all that. You're going to have to discover it. All right, can you go out there? Can you get it done? Because this is almost like Chapman. If you remember Chapman, Michael, when he was at the end of his career with the Yankees, there was somebody warming up the second he came out. Like they had no leash for him. Like, which,
by the way, is not a tenable way to operate, no matter what.
Because it's
mentally
right. And now you've got, I think Holmes is mentally cooked. So now you got to try somebody else, and hopefully you get the right guy and you discover him, and he can become a legitimate option in the postseason until Holmes finds it. But here's the problem, Michael. How does Holmes now find it?
Holmes has to find it in the 7th or 8th inning.
But here's the thing, Michael. As you just said, the 7th and 8th innings, not the 9th. Like, so if he comes in and lights out and gets strikes out 3 guys in a row in the 7th inning, okay, you're still going to have your heart in your throat in the 9th the next time he pitches to close because it's a completely different situation.
Now, it's going to be interesting to see what Boone says pregame today because obviously Holmes is not available today. Even if for some reason they brain cramp as an organization, say he's going to continue to close for us, he's not closing tonight. So that gets them off the hook. Is he going to come out and say, you know what, we're looking into other things, or is he going to double down? Because this is an organization that doubles down. We still believe in him because when you double down, you're not admitting that you were wrong. And at this point, it looks like they have been wrong thinking that Clay is the guy that can close. And I have been pretty much in lockstep because, I'll repeat, a lot of the games that he blew, other people were complicit. And it was ground balls or dinkers that found holes. I get it. That happens. That's the negativity of a guy who doesn't throw a strikeout pitch, but throws a pitch that you put into play. He's got nasty stuff. But now, yesterday, was a complete meltdown on the mound. That's not good. And also, another thing that you could question the Yankees about, in the middle of that inning, another guy that could be considered to close, Luke Weaver, right? He's warming up. He's warming up. Now, you could see, even before Langford came to the plate, that Clay lost the ability to throw strikes. Everybody could see it. You know, they would have lost that game 2 batters earlier if not for the brilliance of Jose Trevino. He's framing pitches that were like a foot outside, and the umpire was calling him strikes. He was unbelievable behind the plate. He's blocking pitches in the dirt that should have scored runs. This is all happening in real time if you're in the Yankee dugout and you've got Weaver warming up. Why not bring him in? Instead, after the game, Boone said, no, we were going to stay with Holmes, that he was going to figure it out. It's September 4th, baby. The time to figure it out is over. If he hasn't figured it out after a couple of years of being the closer, even though he was an all-star this year, now the games mean too much in order for you to stick with him and say, you know what, we still believe in him. You can't. After yesterday, you can't. And the previous night, you can't. He almost blew the previous night when he had a 5-run lead. They were 1 batter away from bringing up Corey Seager as the tying run. It was a great play by Glaber up the middle that actually saved their bacon. So you can't keep going to him. The games mean too much.
Michael, you mind if I play a little Boone here? I just want to hear what he sounds like.
Sure.
Here's Boone. Has Holmes lost his confidence?
There's been times like that in past years where I feel like he's gone through a weak stretch where he's kind of struggled mechanically. I don't feel he's had a lot of those stretches this year. Tonight they got him. A lot of the times where we've lost out there, it's been, soft contacts, beating them. Obviously that wasn't the case tonight. Walked 2 guys, and obviously Langford put a real charge into one. So we got to, make sure he's good and make sure he's good.
He's not good.
He's not good.
He's not good.
And I didn't expect... Listen, Peter, when I got back to the hotel, I obviously listened to the interview right away. I know Aaron Boone. He's not going to destroy his player. But we had shots. If you look at the last shot that we had before we threw it to Bob Lorenz and Jack Curry, it looked like Boone had just lost a serious battle with somebody. His eyes were closed. His head was bowed. That was the type of loss that was. He's not going to say Clay Holmes not the closer anymore. Meredith asked him that. You know what he said? I'm not going to give you that answer. The emotions are still raw. I understand it completely. I still back that you don't throw fans chum just because they want chum. But the guy was devastated yesterday. Holmes was devastated. Boone's obviously thinking, I'm sure Boone had meetings today. They can't continue down this path and expect it to change. It'd be irresponsible. Do you want to win or not?
Last night was a sort of a line in the sand kind of moment,
yes.
Michael. Especially with the Grand Slam. It's just the perfect storm of misery that you go, if we don't make a change now, we all just look silly. Here's the question you just referred to. Will you start using a new closer?
I'm not going to answer that right now when we're raw and emotional. And we'll talk through and do what we think's the best thing.
Are there any other options to close games?
There's options, and he's gone on to save a couple games since that point and thrown the ball well. But yeah, we have options down there, and we'll consider everything.
Not time to consider them. That's the Pinstripe Report brought to you by Samwell Institute for Pain Management. For a pain-free life, visit SamwellPain.com today. We'll take phone calls when we get back. Big Met win again. We haven't forgotten that. But obviously the Yankee meltdown yesterday looms a little bit larger in terms of what's going on with this team as they go down the stretch and try to get into the playoffs as the American League East titleist. But first, Peter wants to tell you about FanDuel.
Well, I do, Michael.